Hi, good morning. Welcome to the 10th edition of EdelGive Hurun India Philanthropy List. Today is also very special for us because Hurun Report globally is celebrating 24 years as of today. Uh, so today is all about philanthropy and discussing some of the key trends that we found this year uh, and sharing some of what could possibly happen in the future. Why philanthropy list? I mean, what is the whole point of the EdelGive for India philanthropy list? For that, I'd like to bring your attention to Hurun's four missions. The first is we speak about wealth creation. We believe wealth creation is very important for economic development. Uh, we also believe that philanthropy is very much required for wider economic prosperity. So that's the second pillar of research from Hurun perspective. And third is innovation and startups. That's we speak about U30 startups, future unicorns, and so on. And the pillar is about art and culture. And today we're going to speak about the second pillar, which is philanthropy, and why this list is to be discussed. There was a Bain report which came early part of this year, which said that India's current social spending, which includes private philanthropy, is about 8.6% of GDP. And ideally, the number should be about 13%. And we do believe that this gap is to be filled by private philanthropy. And where would this philanthropy come from? This will essentially come from four arcs of wealth creators in the country. The first arc is the traditional family businesses who've been building their business over the last 30, 40 years, and they have a structured CSR and everything in place. The second is new age startups and tech companies and so on. Here I would also include the founders of Infosys and Wipro, those breed of founders as well, plus the new age startups. And third is professional managers. As many of us are aware that India is going to witness some of the biggest intergenerational wealth transfer. Even if you look at the India Rich List, which was launched last month, we expect almost 1 trillion US of wealth being given away to the next generation, which is almost 65% of the rich list. And this wealth transfer will happen in the next 10, 15 years. So which means a lot of professional managers are going to come on the forefront and lead the value creation for their business, which will in turn result in wealth creation, hopefully philanthropy from there. And the fourth arc that we see is from the private equity fund or venture capital fund managers. And this year we have a new entrant from a VC sector, which I'll brief about in the later part of the discussion. They're the important source of capital from an Indian context, and we believe the fund managers or investors are going to play a huge role in terms of philanthropy in the next 10, 15 years. The whole objective of EdelGive Hurun India Philanthropy List is to track the progress of Indian philanthropy on various parameters such as funding value, the funder's profile, how that is evolving, the geographies, the causes. For example, right now the most favored causes is education. What are the new kind of causes? There are some donors who focus on climate change, some donors who focus on ecosystem building, and so on. And geographies. Earlier, and the first category of philanthropists, the traditional family businesses, they would, in most cases, focus on philanthropy of the local area that they come from, or the geography they come from. But when it comes to the rest of the new age sectors and even the next gen of the traditional family business, the geography is also expanding, the causes are becoming pan-India and so on. So from our perspective, the EdelGive Hurun India Philanthropy List, in addition to becoming inspiration for the younger wealth creators or new wealth creators in the country, we also think that the story of India's philanthropy explained through the philanthropy list over the years, in a decade or 2 decades or so on, could be a role model for other emerging economies in the world in terms of how philanthropy landscape is going to evolve. Even from an inspiration into the country, we believe that the young wealth creators, wealth custodians, new wealth creators, they all could get possibly inspired by seeing some of the amazing stories of philanthropy coming out of EdelGive Hurun India Philanthropy list. The classic example, you have the most generous women philanthropist, Rohini Nilekani, who started philanthropy way early. I was discussing with someone a few minutes back, if you had a philanthropist 20 years back, 30 years back, some of these names would have been in the philanthropy list and they would possibly be the youngest philanthropist in the country. Then you have someone like Mr. A.M. Nayak, who's the most generous professional manager in the list, who started philanthropy when he was a teenager. Then to Kamath brothers of Zerodha, Nikhil and Nitin Kamath, who started philanthropy the very moment Zerodha started creating wealth. Then you have the likes of Yusuf Ali, the NRIs who've created wealth outside of the country, who's now coming back to India and donating back to the mother country and and helping causes here. So that's the purpose, the process, right? I mean, these various profiles of philanthropists can inspire various categories of wealth creators into giving back to the country. And yes, this is just an attempt to find out the known faces. Of course, we would have missed a lot of philanthropists in India, but then this at least gives an indication. And we're very proud to have partnered with EdelGive again this year to come up with this list, because there's so much on the ground talking to all these philanthropists, and sometimes you even get some of the names from them and we go researching when we get such inputs. So it's really been a collaborative effort in terms of coming out with this report and trying to spread these stories to celebrate and inspire. Talking about this year's list, it's the 10th edition. We've retained a threshold at rupees 5 crores being donated in the last financial year. Based on these numbers, we found out 119 individuals who fit in this year's list, of which 25 were new entrants, and all these philanthropists come from about 25 Indian cities. There are 7 women entrants. Number 1 in the list is Mr. Shiv Nadar. He's number 1 for the second consecutive year with a donation of about 2,040 crores plus. We did a fund calculation that's about 6 crores per day of donation by Mr. Shiv Nadar over the last year. Number 2 on the list is Ms. Azim Premji, who's donated about 1,700 crores plus. The youngest in the list is Nikhil Kamath, age 37. The Kamath brothers donated about 110 crores in the last financial year. The most generous woman philanthropist is Rohini Nilekani, who's donated about 110 crores last year. Overall list, total donation has went up by 60%. What is more exciting is that in the cumulative value of donation in the list, almost 70% are private donations. It's about rupees 5,000 crores. And the private donations have also gone up by 60%. The private donations means all donations beyond the CSR. Couple of other interesting trends which I want to share, which kind of shows the progress of philanthropy in the country. If you look at the number of individuals who've donated rupees 100 crores in a year, if you do a 5-year comparison, that number has gone from 5 years to 2 philanthropists 5 years back to 14 now. So that number's gone up by 12. And if you look at the number of philanthropists who've donated 50 crores or more in the last, in one financial year, that number has grown from 5 years back to 24 now. So that's also gone up by almost 4 or 5 times. And if you look at the 20 crore threshold, that number has also grown by 20, from 23 5 years back to 47 now. So that's a significant increase in terms of donations and the overall threshold as well. New entrants, 25 new entrants. K. Dinesh, of one of the founders of Infosys, donated 47 crores as the top new entrant. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we have Prashant Prakash, the VC, a fund manager of Axel Partners, and his wife, Amrita Prashant, have debuted the list for the first time with a donation of rupees 9 crores. So that's one sector that I was speaking about, the VC fund managers and the investors who were seeing how the ecosystem has evolved and who could possibly play a meaningful role in terms of philanthropy. Number 11, I must call out number 11. The number 11 this year is again A.M. Naik of L&T, who's donated about rupees 150 crores, and he's the top number 1 in terms of professional managers list. If you look at a list of top donors from a professional manager's perspective. So I also want to give a comparison of how possibly, or a projection of how possibly philanthropy will evolve in the country. I'm not going to make a crystal ball prediction here. I'll just throw out some numbers which should kind of give an indication of how we could possibly evolve and how India is more philanthropic than most of the other nations in the world. So we looked at the China philanthropy list. In 2013, to enter the top 100 in the China philanthropy list, when China's GDP was about 8 trillion, was rupees 11 crores. And India, to enter the top 100, is 14 crores, despite lower GDP than that of China. To enter the top 50 in the China philanthropy list in 2013 was 20 crores in 2013. Now in India, it's 16 crores. This is very interesting. To enter the top 10 in the China philanthropy list 2013 was about 130 crores, and India currently to enter top 10 is about 170 crores. So despite a GDP being even less than half of what China was at that point in time, our philanthropy from a top 10 perspective and top 100, the absolute value is higher. Now let's look at now, right? China's GDP, it's about 18 trillion plus. To enter top 10 in China, the top 10, number 10th rank, he's donated about 1,200 crores. So India, it's about 170 crores. In the top 5, 4 has donated more than $1 billion US, and 3 has donated more than $2 billion US. So, and the number 1 in the China philanthropy list, he's donated about rupees 17,000 crores. India, it's about 2,000 crores. So, and the point about this is, what it really tells me is that, what data tell me is that wealth creation is going to play a very huge role in terms of philanthropy of a country. And that is the most sort of positive news for me. In India's in that path of creating a lot of wealth in the next 10 to 15 years. And that's evidenced through our various lists, which also means that the brightest days of philanthropy, where some of the most active philanthropists are going to emerge from the country, is also going to come in the next 10, 15 years. So that's why the list is very exciting. I really hope the EdelGive Hurun India philanthropy list inspires a lot of young philanthropists or young entrepreneurs or wealth creators into giving, and also speak about their giving. It's very important to be role models. The list is also intended to celebrate the stories of these philanthropy, because these stories have to be celebrated. And we also believe that although philanthropy is in many ways considered very silent in India, it's very important to recognize these philanthropists and talk about their stories. And they have to be called out. It is very important to call them out so that they become role models for the next sort of wealth creators to start giving. On this very positive note, I welcome you all to the 10th edition. I look forward to talking to each one of you, and I hope these stories inspire, and I hope India wins today's match as well. Thank you.